Identity. That's what we're talking about today. Your license, your passport, documents that show who you are in the world that we're living in today. On the internet, there exists identity as well, and you pretty much do it every day. You log in with Google, your username, your password, Facebook, TikTok, whatever social media platform or whatever website that you're logged into. So the way the internet is, traditionally, there was Web 1, where you log on to a website, or rather you just view a website. You can't really create anything. You just extract information from the website, just like traditional TV. Then Web 2 came along, where you could actually log in with a password and an email address, or a username and a password. And then another version of Web 2 came along, where you could log in with a social media account. Now enter Web 3, where you log in with your personal data. You're attached to your personal identity, and this is known as a decentralized identity or identifier or sovereign identity. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Welcome to the Maverick channel. Here we talk about cryptocurrency, crypto content of all sorts, and we educate you about what the current trends in the digital space are. So don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, because it's very helpful for the growth of this channel. Okay, so before we jump into the meat of this video, check out the diagram in front of you. Now, as we've discussed at the beginning of this video, there's Web 1 and Web 2 login. So not to make things too complicated, you have your username, you have your password, or now we have social medias like Facebook, Twitter, and so on, Instagram, and Google, so you can log in with these different identities that are created by centrally controlled companies. So you have servers out there, you have CEOs of these companies, and they control the data, or they control your identity, even if it represents who you are. Now it becomes a little bit difficult to truly verify who you are, and even worse, if these data centers are hacked, it acts as a honeypot where all this data, user data, can be captured and used in all kinds of nefarious ways by the hacker. Now enter Web 3. Unless you've been living under a rock of some sorts, we've had from Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all different kinds of blockchains that have come up. And these blockchains leverage some kind of cryptographic proof, which has been demonstrated by the use of things like smart contracts. Now with this, you're able to create an identity or a wallet. A wallet is not just something you can use to transfer money or tokens from one point to another, but it also represents a cryptographically protected identity that belongs to you. And there's different ways this identity can be packaged so that it's easily viewed and easily used. Now what Web3 represents is this wallet that can do a whole bunch of things that are quite dynamic. Not just a Web2 wallet where you have a username or password and your data is controlled, but in Web3 you actually have privacy, you have autonomy, you have what we call self-sovereign identity by use of decentralized identifiers, and then you can also use that identity for easy verification, for privacy, controlling your data, and you can also use it to move value across anywhere, any point of the globe. So that is essentially Web3 and what it is. You can use your identity to easily verify yourself, and you control all the data attached to your identity. Quite impressive. Now, most of this data, your NFTs, your identity, all this is controlled by nodes run in different locations of the globe. Now, one of the most popular ways to store this data is through the interplanetary file system. I've done videos about this, and today's video is not necessarily about that, but just know that this is where these separate nodes that are run by different entities, different people, decentralized computers, they maintain that identity. Or for the case of some blockchains like Ethereum, if your wallet is your identity, then the different nodes being run by different validators on the Ethereum network, and this applies to all other blockchains, those people or those validators or those computers represent the protection of your identity in a decentralized manner. Now, this identity that you have or your wallet is what you can use to log into different platforms or verify who you are. There's many advantages that can arise from this kind of privacy or this kind of data ownership or identity ownership, like being able to verify your university credentials or your academic credentials or your own personal skills, your medical credentials. Your doctor can have access to your identity so that if you need to use it at any point or anywhere on the globe, you just need to sign to prove that it's you, and your doctor can have access to this information without anyone being able to control or even being able to hack into this information. So there's a lot of advantages that can come with being able to control your own data or having this self-sovereign control of your own identity. So there's many documents that have been written out there to explain what these decentralized identifiers are. For example, this article written by w3.org is a very good detailed, article representing or talking about different structures of the DID, the identifier, the DID method, and the DID method specific identifier. So if you want to get into, especially if you're a developer or a company that wants to be a leader in this space, that's where you get into such detailed articles in understanding what you're trying to build for yourself or for your employees or for a market that you're trying to build. Now, there's different other articles that are easier to understand that explain, for example, this that was written by doc.io, and which these guys actually provide their own application where you can log in and register and have your identity lying on their blockchain that you can use as your own self-sovereign identity. These guys started way back by Nick Lambert, who has been a native in the crypto space way back in 2011. But the point is, they've written an amazing article that breaks down in simpler form, identifying or explaining to you what these different identity metrics are, measures, and what we're talking about today. So I'm going to link all this in the description in case you want to get into the details. Now, there's other wallets out there that have been with us for quite some time, like the Civic wallet. These guys also have an application that does an identity thing where you register there, create your own identity. Now, these guys have the hope that many platforms, just like the way you can log in with Google, with Facebook, and these different other Web2 platforms, I guess the main goal of these different platforms is that you could log in with their wallet instead of using the mainstream ones. But for now, the most popular way to log into different Web3 platforms is actually by using, for example, your MetaMask wallet, your Ledger wallet, your Wallet Connect, and these different other Web3 wallets, or your BitPay wallet, your Trust wallet, your Math wallet, your Crypto.com wallet. So many Web3 wallets are being created out there that are attached to different blockchains or light clients. So you don't really interact with the actual blockchain itself, but you interact with something called a light client wallet. And that's how they're able to interact with the blockchain very fast without necessarily having to run what we call a full node. So these are the most popular ways of logging into different Web3 platforms, or platforms that give you a very specific identity. Or another way, on top of that, you can slap on a Bored Ape or some kind of NFT. You can slap on a meta key. You can slap on an artifact NFT. You can slap there something we call a soul-bound token. Now, this is an idea. The NFTs we've just looked at are essentially a graphical representation of this identity, where we shall see at the end some metaverses or some platforms where you can go into a party, you can go into a meeting, and if you don't have this NFT, you can't have access. But this NFT is backed by what we looked at, maybe the interplanetary file system, or a DID, some kind of identity that gives you cryptographically protected permission to get into a particular platform or event in the metaverse, and I'm going to show you how some of the amazing stuff is. Now, back to the soul-bound token. This was an idea that was initially proposed by Vitalik Buterin. A soul-bound token is essentially something, an NFT, should we refer to it as such, is an NFT that you can't transfer. Now, you're asking yourself, why would I want to hold an NFT that I can't transfer? But there's many advantages to doing this. For example, you've attended an event held by a specific company. Now, this event represents the time and place where you were, or this token represents your medical records. These medical records will never change. They will never belong to anyone else, even if you want to. They represent your DNA, your blood type, your everything about you, your body, your health situation, your health progression. So these are types of NFTs that cannot change. They belong to a particular person. They're stuck to your identity. So this was the proposition by Vitalik Buterin, the creator of Ethereum, of these NFTs referred to as soul-bound tokens that cannot cannot be moved because of what they represent. So we're seeing the evolution of identity, and at some point in the future will occur where all this technology comes together and it's easy to understand and use and integrated within almost everything that we do online and in our day-to-day lives. Some of the companies that I'm throwing out there, we have some things like play to earn, move to earn. So you have some of these companies that are trying to really find a way of optimizing the whole carbon and green movement in creating a infrastructure that incentivizes people to use micromobility infrastructures or vehicles that don't pollute the environment, and in doing so they reward you for doing that. Now these people also launching their own NFTs, or they need also decentralized identities where you can easily interact with other users, you can share information with other users, or the different companies formed around this technology are able to share data with weather data and all kinds of data without necessarily infringing on the privacy of the users. And this kind of economy to be formed out properly, you need decentralized identities. But hey, they use also things like NFTs to try and incentivize more. Now this space is evolving in all kinds of ways. I'm not necessarily saying this project is going to work, this is not going to work, but I'm finding examples or projects that have actually built actual market fit technology that we can look at today to try and predict where this space is going. Now, to bring you into the actual products that are being used on a global scale today, for example, on the Ethereum network, there's something we call the Ethereum name service. Now, instead of using a hexadecimal address, a very long Ethereum address, you can just register a particular name if it's not taken and use it whichever way you fit. Maybe you can register it for 1 year, 2 years. For example, here you can say maybe a name like mastercarrot.eth, and if it's available, you can register it for 1 year, for 2 years. Now, for the case of Ethereum name service, once you buy your name, it's for a limited time. But for other blockchains, some of the blockchains, when you buy your identity, it's essentially yours, and you can trade it. You can trade the name. Maybe it might belong to a name that resembles a company or resembles something that might be popular in the future, and you might want to trade it. So there's different ways people are using these identities for. And now, to demonstrate to you this, when you register your name on the Ethereum network, it's lying on top of what we refer to as the interplanetary file system, which we discussed. And I might as well use the name of Vitalik Buterin, the creator of Ethereum himself. So when you type vitalik.eth, when you type the guy's name, it searches through the interplanetary file system and it actually loads their website that's attached to that identity that they created. Now, this data is on the interplanetary file system protected by different decentralized nodes, and you can see this is, for example, called Vitalik Buterin's website, with different articles that have been posted here by Vitalik himself, I presume. Now, there are other companies as well, like Unstoppable Domains, where you can register an identity which ends in .crypto in different prefixes like .crypto, .nft, .x, .wallet, .bitcoin, .dao, .888, .zeal, .blockchain, and they keep expanding this list. You can register a particular name and you can go ahead to actually design a website like we've seen. You can go to your domains, you select the domain that you registered there, and then you can go ahead to manage, and you can create a website that's going to be a decentralized website. Your name cannot be taken away. In this case, it's permanent unless you choose to sell it or trade it with someone else or with some other entity or a company or whatever you want to do with it. Or you can create your own identity, as you can see, and you have this on the internet without the ability of being banned because it's protected by these decentralized nodes. Now, I created my own website for the demonstration of this, nftblogger.crypto. And when you search it, you can see that it opens up that amazing website, which is protected by the interplanetary file system. So of course, this is a simple outlay, a simple demonstration that I created out there, but the sky is the limit with what talent you have in terms of navigating this. And these user interfaces are being created out there by different people trying to iterate in this space and trying to find market fit products out there. Because this company, when you buy these domains from them, they actually get some of these tokens. So that's how they're able to raise capital to continue building out these products. But when you have the identity, it's yours. Now, I like talking about some platforms like the Cosmos ecosystem. Yesterday, or a few days ago, or 2 days ago, they released a way to actually register your name on the various Cosmos ecosystems. You know, the Cosmos ecosystem, the way it operates, you have different blockchains that are self-sovereign. They can have their own validators, they can have their own security, or in the future, they'll hopefully be able to share the security. But the point is, they have their own prefixes. So one of the most popular wallets, which is the Kepler wallet, but then there's also another wallet that they support, you can actually register your identity on the different blockchains on the Cosmos ecosystem, which is going to end in the prefix of that particular blockchain. For example, as you can see, Atom or Fetch.ai or any other blockchain on the Cosmos ecosystem, it's now very easy to register your identity so that it's attached to your address. So the advantage of having these identities, another advantage is that if someone wants to send you tokens or NFTs or to interact with you, they don't need to type in a very long address, but they rather just type in your name and they have access to you. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about in terms of identity is the Metaverse. Now, Decentraland is arguably the most or the biggest decentralized Metaverse concept platform out there. They have land. You can own different lands, their estates, you can combine different persons to create estates, and you can actually jump into Decentraland. Now, before we get into that, in this Decentraland Metaverse platform, you can actually register your own unique identity, which is going to belong to you permanently, unless you want to trade it. And with that identity, you can jump into different parcels. If you own the parcel or the land or the estate, you can assign that identity to an estate. So, and now they actually released an amazing platform, which I'll talk about later, where you can use that identity to have a space, a virtual space, a 4x4 space where you can have different events on that space. But you don't really own the land, this actual land, but then you're provided with another kind of space where you can provide the same activities similar to what you can do here, but you just don't have things like voting rights. But this has really removed the barrier to entry because some of these lands are very expensive. Now, with this name, which is essentially your identity, when you register your identity, I can demonstrate for you. You can type in your identity, for example, here, mawa.dcl, which DCL stands for Decentraland.eth, because Decentraland is a platform that uses the Ethereum blockchain. So Mawa, for example, .dcl, which represents Decentraland.eth, will get you into your parcel that you own, which is, I don't even know the amount of possibilities that are going to be brought forth by this kind of thing. But remember, there's privacy, there's your ownership of your identity, and you can limit or you can control the amount of people that can get into your estate by essentially saying, hey, if you have this NFT or if you know this passphrase, then you can get into this space. So guys, this was a very simple analysis of the different possibilities of identities, but there's going to be so many things out there, so many products, and given right now we're in the bear market, people continue to build different products that will serve this world. And this is just the tip of the iceberg of the possibilities that are going to be possible with the availability of self-sovereign identities and user-owned data. So guys, if you like this kind of content, don't forget to like and hit that subscribe button because it's very helpful towards the growth of this channel. And I'll see you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.